Thank you, Kenneth. I know I'm here to talk about the Saints, but got to talk about some other things first. I'd like to welcome Ms. Gibson and Mr. Bonine to the quarterback club here in New Orleans. It's been an interesting tenure for Mr. Bonine as executive director of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, and I've chronicled much of it. I think that maybe we should get the Survivor TV folks out and let him loose in the Atchafalaya Basin with a knife in his teeth, and maybe he can survive off pineapple juice for a few weeks, and we'll see how long he can make it. But he's gotten an education, and so have I, watching the things that have transpired in the association since he's been on board. I feel like I'm at a sandbaggers convention, okay? Because all these coaches up here, you ask them in August, they're not going to be very good. The only problem is that we're missing the two best sandbaggers, which would be Jay Roth and Frank Monica. If they were here, okay, the list of sandbaggers would be just about complete. As we head to the Superdome, it really is Bryce Brown's world. We're just all living in it. I was at the game at Berman on Friday, and when he walked in the stadium, it really was like Jesus was walking in the stadium. Everybody kind of bowed and stopped and just saw God walk in. You know, I am a religious man. I felt like genuflecting, but I said, you know, maybe that wouldn't be a good thing. Coach Manali and De La Salle, fantastic job. Let me tell you a story about a De La Salle guy who's in the house here, Kevin Keitel, back in the mid to late 70s, maybe early 70s. When I was a senior at Rummel, De La Salle beat us in the Jamboree. And there were two guys who toilet papered my house that night. And one of them was David Dawson. The other guy, I think, is here today at the quarterback club. But I know it's a huge moment for De La Salle. I'm very excited for the school and all the schools here. I'd like to mention that I'm delighted about the New Orleans Bowl moving their kickoff to noon. Usually on that Saturday, we celebrate our anniversary. So I'm kind of in jail then on Saturday night that I just have to pretend like I'm not keeping an eye on the game on my phone, or I'm not watching it, or not looking on Twitter to see what's happening. But this year I get to go. I think one of the things that I'll point out to the network people is the fact that the two coaches in the game from Troy and North Texas both make less money than Nick Saltaformaggio and JT Curtis. I think that's an interesting note. I think the networks would be certainly curious about that. You know, I don't know what to say, but I really don't know how to break this to Pooka Williams on the weekend when I see him, is that he's the second best athlete on the Honville campus behind Brian Lumore. I don't know how to point that out to Pooka, you know, but hey, we move on. Congratulations to Coach Walters. In all seriousness, I think it's great that West St. John is back in the Dome. I think that local high school football in this area is better when West St. John is really good, and they're really good. And they've had a lot of great teams and coaches throughout the years, and they have an unbelievable football tradition. Plus, all my guys like going there because of the way they cook. They fight over that assignment. They want to go to West St. John, and I don't blame them. Mr. Curtis is celebrating his birthday tomorrow, is that right, sir? Congratulations. I told him on the show Friday night, we looked at all the stores, Dollar Tree, Rouse's, Target, all of them, and we couldn't find enough birthday candles, so we just left them off. We just got the cake. So it's fantastic that we get to work together and do that show for 26 years. A lot of these gray hairs are because of him, so he gets the credit for some of them. About the split, and people are asking about that, and I don't mean any disrespect to any other team, but can you imagine the attendance at the Louisiana Superdome this weekend if Carr was playing De La Salle and Honville was playing John Curtis? How special that would be. You think they're going to make some money this weekend? Imagine if that were the case. I'm just throwing out the possibility. Me, I remember what it once was. I hope one day before I check out or before I'm forced out that I get to see it back together again, because I really think it truly was special. Now, I am here to say a few words about the Saints. The best thing that has happened this football season is that I have Alvin Kamara on my fantasy team. And I was given a hard time about Alvin Kamara, drafting him so highly in my draft. But you know what? Now, those same guys, crickets, I don't hear from them. So, and on my team, Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, and he's coming back in a couple of weeks. So I'm pulling for Green Bay to keep winning. So they put Aaron Rodgers on the field. As far as the Saints are concerned, look, as far as Kamara is concerned, I think he's the best rookie in the history of the franchise. And that is going a long way. And this is the best Saints draft class, in my opinion, since 1981. One that had Ricky Jackson, Jim Wilkes, Frank Warren, Russell Gary, George Rogers, Hokie Gajan, I could go on and on. Better than '06 and better than 1986, which were both tremendous drafts. You know, I've already been asked a million times over the last couple of days by people at my office, is Marshawn Lattimore going to play this week? Well, we'd like to ask him, but let me tell you what happens. The Saints are like North Korea when it comes to injuries, okay? They're a closed society. And it was very funny on Wednesday when we were in the media open locker room period, all right? Marshawn Lattimore wanted to come out and go to his locker, but all the reporters were standing out there, including me. And for 30 or 40 minutes, he would open the door and look and see if anybody's moved away. So we'll try to get an answer today when we go out to practice, but I doubt it very seriously. Although I do think there's hope for him playing, and here's why. There's a guy that Atlanta has, his name is Julio Jones. So I think it's probably good that he didn't play against Carolina and he got the few extra days to be able to play against Atlanta. I hope that's the case. And you know, it's been a special year, and I was telling my people on TV yesterday, you know, I heard so much over the last couple of years about how Sean Payton had lost his fastball and Drew Brees should retire. And I'm not hearing that this year. It's amazing what happens when you have an infusion of great players and a great draft. And there's a chance that the Saints are going to have the offensive and defensive rookies of the year in the league. And if Lattimore keeps going like this, he might be in the conversation for player of the year on offense. He's been that good. He's been, Kamara has been spectacular. So has Lattimore. So we'll see moving forward. The only problem with the NFC this year is there's a lot of good teams in the NFC. If you remember going back to 1992, the Saints won 12 games that year and they were a wild card team. That's how good the NFC was back then, and I think 25 years later, we're kind of in that same predicament. Now, before I move on, I want to thank guys here to my right, who I see at all the high school games, who do a great job of covering high school football, because even though we're at different entities, I appreciate what they do. My buddy Robert O'Shields from WGNO, who works extremely hard, he said he loves working with me. It's the highlight of his career. So God help him, said Kenny, you're right. He is getting a lot of prayers this week. Adam Ney from WWL, Garland Gillen, and Chris Hagan from WVUE, Jim Derry from NOLA.com, and Rod Walker from The Advocate. Rick Gailey came up with a great line about Rod Walker. He said, I tease Rod Walker all the time that he never has a day off. And I told him that I hope the people at the, and of course Jude Young and Lenny Van Gilder and Les East from CrescentCitySports.com along with Mr. Trahan. But I tease Rod Walker that he should never have a day off in 2018, that he should work every day. And Rick Gailey came up with the greatest line about Rod Walker. 2/3 of the earth is covered in water, the rest is covered by Rod Walker. I thought it was an accurate statement. So, and I've been asked a lot about Rick. Rick's a fighter. As you know, he's been pretty upfront about his battle with pancreatic cancer. He's been with us on the radio by phone over the last month and a half, and he's been an amazing individual. And I have never seen anyone diagnosed with something like this who has the attitude he does. I mean, you talk about a true winner. He has been nothing but spectacular. So with that, I'll leave it open to your questions. Yes, sir.
Hey, Ed, I know that you're talking about the Saints and stuff, but with LSU going back to the Citrus Bowl,
Yes.
what makes it exciting is that they're playing Notre Dame. So speak a little bit about that.
Well, what also makes it exciting, if I can give you a shameless plug, is that the game will be live on WGNO at noon on January 1st. So don't stay out too late, okay? Get up and watch the game on New Year's Day. And then Mr. Curtis and I will be doing a post-game show after. So we'll kick off the new year hopefully in a good way. And look, you know, it was really weird the last time LSU played Notre Dame in a bowl game. You know, Leonard Fournette had a giant game. LSU didn't win. They couldn't get stops. And that was when the whole John Chavis thing was going on. And Kevin Sumlin's pool boy broke the story that John Chavis was going to Texas A&M as the defensive coordinator. But, you know, I think it's going to be a really good bowl game. Notre Dame was in the conversation for the football playoffs until they got smacked by Miami of Florida. And I think it's going to be a really good game.
I got a nickname for you.
What's that?
Catholics versus the Cajuns.
Well, you know, it's really funny. All the years you cover some crazy stuff. And I remember in I think it was 86, Notre Dame came to Tiger Stadium. And Bill Arnsparger did not want to talk about the whole Catholics thing. And there were bumper stickers all over Baton Rouge in southeast Louisiana that said, "Another Catholic for LSU." And Bill Arnsparger was just terrified of that. He didn't want to talk about it, but I thought it was pretty funny. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for covering local football as you do.
Thank you very much.
I'm a sports historian for a local high school.
Okay.
And you talked about the split.
Yes, ma'am.
I am researching back from the 60s when
Right.
there was the...
Wait, we could ask Kenny Trahan about that. I don't remember that. He's a lot older than me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
LIALO.
Yes.
Researching that, what I discovered was
Right.
that it was, you know, a few more social forces.
Yes, it was a different time in our society.
It was a different time in our society.
Yes.
So what would be the competitive push to rejoin? What's the competitive edge? Not just economics, because I understand that.
You know, ma'am, I think what happens is a lot of people just want to get to the dome. It's such a huge thing in this state now. It's amazing. And that's the one thing that Louisiana has that nobody else has, is a Superdome. And to me, it's one of the most iconic buildings in the world. And as a sports venue, it's incredible. And to see those kids walk in the dome every year and to just be looking is pretty amazing. And it's a special weekend. And I think that more and more schools want the opportunity to get there. However, and I understand that, okay? I'm not saying, you know, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that I don't think Louisiana is a 9-championship state, okay? And I think that state championships should be special, okay? If you want to know about state championships, I can tell you right off the bat that I covered Hahnville winning a state championship in 1992, in 1994, in 2003. And I can name the coaches. And I can tell you when West St. John was there and they won under Coach Dupont. And all the success that Edna Carr High School has had. You know, Coach Brown has raised it to a new level, okay, with all the things he's done at Edna Carr. But they've won it under Don Watney, Jabbar Jaloop. They got there with Nathaniel Jones, and now Coach Brown, who's done a masterful job there. I just think that winning a state championship should be an incredibly difficult thing, that should take 5 games to win, and that it should be really hard. And what Hahnville did at Acadiana, to me, is the epitome of what the state playoffs is all about. Go on the road against a team that has every advantage at home, and you find a way to win. To me, that is a memory for a lifetime. Not having a bye in the first week, winning 1 or 2 games, and then going to the Dome. With all due respect to all the programs, okay? I don't think that's the way the Louisiana High School Athletic Association should be set up. I think it should be about greatness. Not good, it should be about greatness and exceptionalism. That's what I think it should be about. Now, as far as the league that used to play, I think there should be some recognition of the LIALO because of the outstanding teams, including St. Augustine and many others that played before integration. I think those schools should be recognized. I do. That's fantastic. Doing it with the Sugar Bowl, that's fantastic. And it should be done. And you know what? Hey, look, I'm 60 years old. I remember what the 60s were like in this country. I'm sure many of the people in this room do, okay? We are a much better society now, okay, than we were back then, all right? And we don't need to step backwards and divide people anymore. We should all be together in everything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for what you and Coach Curtis have done on Friday Night Football. Will Coach Curtis be keeping you on as a co-host next year?
Well, you know what? I've talked to a couple of people, and I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't want to say he's like Kevin Sumlin coaching his last game this week or not, but, you know, we'll see about renewing his contract in the offseason.
With a raise.
With a raise. Oh, yeah, I no doubt about that. A big one. He's going to get Jimbo Fisher numbers.